I'm a feminist, but even though we've been friends for, I think, about 10 years, I've only just tonight, on my way here, realised that your name, Deborah, rhymes with zebra. I just giggled on the train. Bless you, I've got a law degree, but I've spent a 25-minute train journey in going, Deborah rhymes with zebra. Alone.
I'm going to need to see that law degree, to be honest. I'm going to need to see the certificate up close.
I got it from the same shop as Sherry Blair.
The same shop?
Well, uni.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Prontoprint.
Yeah.
I was like, Sherry Blair will be furious if you say that. One of my nieces calls me Auntie Zebra.
Got it. Love that. Deborah the Zebra.
She did when she was little.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
she's more of a
weird now.
She's more tweeny.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
she's not in her 30s.
All right. Modern families. Nieces can be all ages.
That's very true. I'm a feminist, but I do like an ironing board in a dressing room, just in case I want to iron something to calm my nerves. Just before the show. Yeah. And I saw tonight there was an ironing board. I didn't use it, but I thought that's good, because sometimes ironing is very therapeutic, don't you think? Because you. Okay, I'm losing the audience here. Wouldn't it be a turn if I turned out to be a secret trad wife, and suddenly used the influence I've built, to talk about pristine cuffs? But there is something really nice. Okay, so think of it as a metaphor for patriarchy. Wow, that shirt's really crumply. And then I come along with my steam iron and I make it beautiful and pristine. Yeah. Try it on, girls. This is a really terrible message.
I'm sure. Yeah, and I think it could just be a practical thing. It could be the message. It could be we've all just started using steamers now.
Steamers?
Yeah.
It's just a bit of a faff, isn't it? You've got to get it out and fill it with water and, you know.
What are you doing with the iron? You putting the clothes in the cupboard with it?
No, it seems like a whole thing. I need to get into it. I need to get into steaming.
Yeah.
Okay, you've won me over.
Yeah.
Like, often, to be honest, I'll just get in the shower and hang it in the bathroom and go, that'll do. Yes. Do you know another trick?
We do need to move on to another topic if we are feminists soon.
Okay. Do you know another trick, though? Put it on and then spray yourself with a bottle of water like they do at the hairdresser. Just mist yourself. The heat in your body will then act as the steamer. That's true. You wet yourself down. I mean, better to have someone else do it. It's got to be a fine spray. But once, I was going somewhere with...
They don't like that. You've got to go round all dewy.
Listen, I'll tell you what, once...
I don't want this.
I was going to a posh...
Clammy,
I was going to a posh feminist event, and I took Steve Alley, who lives with Tom and me.
Lovely, yeah.
And I looked at it because we'd had to wear a theme. It was like a pink thing, sort of thing. And he had this... The only thing he had was this T-shirt. And it was, honestly, I said, you can't go in there. It's like a fancy hotel. And we walked past a barber, and I went into the barber and said, excuse me, will you spray my friend down? And he misted him down, and I tell you, it just fell out. Well, he's never used an iron since. Just a full mist. Anyway, you better talk about something else, because honestly, our guests are going to leave. Go on.
I'm a feminist, but sometimes when I headline a gig, I wish my career hadn't gone as well so that I would be home and in bed earlier.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's happening more and more.
Listen, that man who tells you how to hold a folder... Oh, no, I can't... This is the first thing, so I can't say that. This is in the edit, okay, so I won't go into that.
Okay.
Tom will say I can't use it. I'm a feminist, but I recently this week dreamed I was in Downton Abbey, and I was downstairs, like with Mrs. Patmore in the kitchen. And when I woke up, I couldn't figure out whether that was good because it meant my subconscious had solidarity with the working class people, or whether it was a sign of low self-esteem. Because it was, in fact, my dream, and I could have been in a sparkly dress and pearls, sitting upstairs in a dressing room looking out a vista and thinking, I own all of this. So I couldn't work it out. Is it more feminist if you're going to have... And I only dreamed about it because I talked to my mother and she loves Downton Abbey and was talking about the new film or something. Right. So that was the only reason I dreamt about it. But it did make me go, is it more feminist if you're going to have a dream about the past or about Downton Abbey or similar? Is it more feminist to dream you're downstairs or upstairs and have the power to do something about downstairs?
Oh,
People are really looking at me like this is a real conundrum now.
Well, also, it's
not. It's a
what
joke,
it means is that your dreams are very creative because you'd be upstairs.
Would I? I don't think I would. No, not.
When you said in your story, the original I'm a Feminist bar, I'd be downstairs, someone in the audience went, no.
But in those days, you couldn't get upstairs through personality. You were born into downstairs or upstairs.
You'd find a way.
Or there was that chauffeur that married in. Yeah, what was that? Do you remember the chauffeur that married one of the lady?
That's it.
Who did he marry? Lady Sybil, thank you. Yes. Some proper fans in. The chauffeur married Lady Sybil. Do you think I could do a move like the chauffeur?
Yeah. I think
Start
you could
out in
marry
the scullery.
Yeah.
Like what? Sorry? You've got to be Irish.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. Oh, actually, my biological father's name is Irish. Surname's Irish. So
There we go then.
I am, in fact, Irish.
Job's a
Sorted.
good 'un.
I'll marry up. Yeah, absolutely. Have you got another one?
Yeah, I don't want to say that. Let's try this. I'm a feminist, but I saw a woman nearly knock herself out and I laughed.
What?
It was just a big surprise.
So the comedy was in the quick drop in status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
It was somebody in a position of status because they were demonstrating a movement at the gym.
Oh, well, that is hilarious. Were they a personal trainer?
Ish, yeah.
Someone who thought they were a personal trainer and weren't. Even funnier.
So the movement was... Actually, the movement feels very feminist. It's called a med ball slam. If anybody doesn't know it, you pick up this kind of, it's usually at least sort of 10 kilo mottled ball. You pick it up off the floor and you pick it up over your head with two hands and you just snap it down as hard as you can and it sort of goes dunk, like out on the floor and it's just very cathartic. And she was demonstrating that and she was saying what muscles it would use and everything. She was very confident, she's very lovely, but she didn't have a med ball to hand, so she just picked up a 3 kilogram other ball. Made of completely different material, and she went to demonstrate it. Someone's worked out what's coming, and she lifted it up above her head, and she smacked it on the floor, and it bounced back up, like that in the face, yeah. and I went, but she was fine. Yeah.
That sounds like a sitcom.
She loved too. She was fine. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I'm a feminist, but I saw something years ago I've never told anybody, I don't think, but it was a woman on a mobility scooter came up to you're already laughing and you shouldn't be. Came up to a shop door and it had like a raised, thing at the top that you'd step over, and she banged it. Just went back a bit because she wasn't going that fast, and so what she did is she backed up. And she put her foot down and came up really fast. And then she really did bang back. So she backed up further.
No.
And she kept doing that.
No.
And she putting her foot down. And my friend and I this was when I was at university. We were waiting to go into the same shop, just watching this. We laughed. So she eventually did it, bless her. It was an act of pure determination until she flew over the hump. And we had to go into the shop next door. It was a coffee shop we wanted to go to. We couldn't because we were laughing so much we were crying. So we went into a convenience store next door, a tiny one, just cried with laughter.
Yeah.
The poor man behind the shop counter was like, "What are you doing in here?" Just rolling about laughing. Bought nothing and left. Because it still stays in my mind as this absolute Curb Your Enthusiasm moment.
Yeah. Proper slapstick.
Yeah.
But there's guilt in those moments. I do.
Oh,
they
yeah,
are proper
obviously. There was a
feminist
reason why we
guilt
went
moments.
into a
I've
shop
got
to
one-
hide out,
I've got
shaming
one that I
laugh.
don't think I've ever said in public that's kind of similarly on the edge. My sister, my sister's in her mid-20s and she's got cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair. And she's got problems with her eyesight, so someone else, generally, especially in busy places, has got to drive it. And we were in central London to see a show, the whole family. And I was like, I'll have a go at that. And I wasn't very good at it. And I was a mixture of terrible at driving it. You sort of hold the knob to the side, something comes out to the side, and very, very bad at driving it and very impatient. So I had it set quite fast, which she was like, yeah, why not? And it was like, brrr, but anyway, long story short, quite a skinny bit of pavement in the Covent Garden area, and I hadn't realised it was happening. I very much ran over a lady. I ran over a woman who was having a coffee outside a cab.
You bought borrowed a mobility scooter and ran over a woman.
I used my sister's body and wheelchair to run a woman over, and I didn't feel anything, and this woman was like, "Ow," you know, and I was like, "Ow, I don't think I got her." And we had to go, and I was like, "We better go back," and I couldn't deny it because there were track marks on her shoes.
No. Live from the Museum of Comedy, the Spontaneity Shop presents The Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Frances-White, guest host Jessica Fostekew, and our very special guests, Baroness Barker and Monica Ferro, talking about making our voices heard in the Road to Gilead series. Hello, and welcome to the Guilty Feminist Road to Gilead season! This is our 4th show out of 6 in the first season of Road to Gilead. We will, of course, do another season, but we thought we'd start with 6 shows. And we thought we'd do 6 shows in smaller venues rather than 2 shows in bigger venues. So there'd be more bites of the cherry, more guests, more neighbourhood serviced. And so far, it's going really well. The first night, I was worried that we wouldn't be full. We did sell out, but it was just very last minute. Tonight, there are people having fistfights out there over tickets. Just give us a cheer if you were told you weren't going to be allowed in. Yes, absolutely. Just give us a cheer if you don't back down because you're a fucking feminist. And if you said you were going to be in the room doing feminism, you're going to be in the room doing feminism. And fuck health and safety. We don't have time for health and safety. It's the end of the world. That's right. We can't fight Christian nationalism with health and safety. That's where we've been going wrong. Just doing that for the video just later because someone will want to put it on YouTube. I never normally think about it, but now I am because that's how it's done. They've bought the algorithm and you've got to be funny with the algorithm, otherwise the algorithm will chuck you out. Oh my God, what's happened to the world? I started this podcast in end of 2015 and it really kind of took off at the beginning of 2016. And it was a time of hope, wasn't it? Hope and change. Oh, good times. We were all... Do you remember when we were marching in the street? Do you remember the Me Too movement? Do you remember when we were winning? Do you remember when we were winning? Those were good times. Yes. It's taken a turn. I'm not going to lie. So that's why we're doing Road to Gilead, because I truly, truly believe that they have gone too far. And when people hear about how far they're going, by trying to buy this country and other countries like ours with lots of far-right Christian nationalist, ultra-conservative money, people are going to go, no, we don't want that here. And when I use the word Christian, I always want to say, this is not about a personal faith. There are faith-based communities. We had the wonderful Reverend Lucy from... Thank you. Let's pick that up for the podcast. Reverend Lucy Winkett on the show last week. That show will be out very soon. There are lots and lots of leaders of our churches in this country and other faith communities who are standing up and fighting this and fighting the misuse of faith as a weapon against marginalised groups. So it's not about that, but it is about a particular abuse of dogma to try and gain control. So each episode, we're looking at a different area with a different guest who has a different take, a different expertise, a guest or guests, and we've had some absolute bangers so far. And I am so delighted by the response of the Guilty Feminist community who are stepping up, coming out, getting involved, fighting over the last tickets at the door. This show has had a waiting list for a while, but they didn't, I don't know, something that they didn't get our guest list, or there was some argy-bargy. And I'm just delighted that everyone who wanted to get in could get in. Of course, there might be latecomers who come and fight you for your seat. That could happen, but that would be exciting if it did. That would be really, genuinely exciting. Listen, if feminists fighting in jelly doesn't turn the manosphere around, nothing will. Nothing will. Maybe that's what we should do, feminist wrestling. Maybe there are some things we should think through. But for now, every one of these shows, I'm doing a monologue about a different aspect or a different point of view. So I'm going to begin with that. before we bring on my brilliant co-host. This week, this is my monologue. Okay, so Tom, you can cut out that bit. All right, ready? All right, so welcome to the monologue. Reform are ahead in the polls. America is becoming increasingly autocratic. Far-right, ultra-conservative Christian nationalists are spending money in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and across Europe. In 2020, Open Democracy revealed $228 million dark money spent by US Christian right groups globally. That was their headline in 2020. Lawmakers say scale of spending, particularly by Trump's lawyers and allies, is alarming and call for urgent action to increase transparency, they said. So I think we need to follow the money. Find out who's trying to buy the very fabric of our society, our way of life, our points of view, our norms, our celebrations, our coalitions. Who's trying to buy them? I want to do episodes of this with people in Australia and New Zealand and Canada and other places that are being affected. When it comes to the United Kingdom, Amnesty International have done the mathematics, so you don't have to. Their analysis maps 65 anti-rights groups operating across the UK, with many groups emerging since 2015. Now, this was just after our country and France accepted same-sex marriage. And a lot of it came out of that. They got really bent out of shape. They went, I've said this before, but they said, when it's the mad Scandinavians, they'll marry a chair. You can't count that. We're not worried when it's the Netherlands, but when it's Great Britain, with the Queen, we can't have it. And that's when they started coming over. I don't think that about Scandinavians, by the way. I think some people went, oh, disappointing. I'm quoting what I think the Christian nationalists said, although I have no proof that anybody used the turn of phrase mad Scandi or marry a chair. Amnesty's analysis is that 32 of these 65 anti-rights groups spent a staggering $106 million between 2019 and 2023. 25% of that was on anti-abortion. 12% was on conversion therapy. Enjoyable. 7% was on ultra-Christian policy groups, advocacy groups, so on and so on. This was all with the aim to undermine our freedoms, restrict access to essential healthcare, and roll back the rights we have fought so hard to win, and previous generations, before we were even born, fought so hard to win. So human rights are universal, so make no mistake, this affects absolutely everybody. When they chip away at one group's rights, this is always a litmus test. Can we then get away with that? If we can get away with that, we can get away with that. As I have said before, when they round up an underclass and make their lives miserable and make them invisible and take them away, don't ever think, well, now there's no underclass. There's always an underclass, and it'll probably be you next. Meantime, the manosphere is becoming really big business. Recently, in the Financial Times, Josh Gabert-Doyen outlined how the manosphere online influencers are targeting young men with tips on how to walk, talk, and even breathe. So Mike Skripchik, according to Rosh Gabert-Doyen, wants you to walk more like a man. Skripchik, a body transformation expert, has also perfected a method for the correct manly way to retrieve a folder and sit down on a chair. In one of the videos he has uploaded to Instagram, he instructs his near 50,000 followers to maintain eye contact rather than looking at the ground. Look effortless, he said. Make that chair serve you. Good advice, I say. He says, staring straight at the camera. The manosphere is growing up once the sole purview of misogynists and trolls, a new type of business influencer has appeared on the websites, accounts, and online forums aimed at men, styling themselves as professional coaches and productivity hackers. They target young men looking to get ahead in the world of work by improving their male confidence. In its browbeating adherence to ritual, this advice could easily find itself at home in a Victorian-era etiquette guide. Take Grant Mitt, a square-jawed influencer whose videos touch upon time-tested male paranoia. How to catch a gold digger and professional guidance. Never drink at work events. It all sounds a lot like Alan Partridge, doesn't it? In the manosphere, there is nothing that cannot be solved. The FT tells us in the manosphere that there is nothing that cannot be solved with a fitness routine, a nasal strip, and a goal. Now, young men are watching between 5.5 and 7 hours a day of this. That's their internet usage in total. It's not all this, but for a lot of people it is. For a lot of young men, it's almost all this. If the government forced them to do that, we would call it propaganda and brainwashing. That would be an authoritarian government making young men watch 5 to 7 hours a day of propaganda about how they needed to be more manly. Wouldn't you be terrified? Wouldn't you think, well, that's got to be North Korea? We're doing it to ourselves. This is the terrifying thing. They haven't had to force our eyes open like in Clockwork Orange. All they've had to do is make it addictive and make it recreation and not call it work. Meanwhile, young women and even in fact tiny girls are being sold face masks and cosmetics. The growing trend of children as young as 8 using skincare products could leave them with irreversible skin problems, the British Association for Dermatologists has recently warned. They're being groomed as submissive wife material. There are churches in central London in midweek doing lunchtime services telling women their natural state is to be in subjection to their husbands and that they need husbands and they need to be pumping out babies. This is happening right now in central London, and I'd love to tell you those churches are empty, but there is also a waiting list there and sometimes a fight to get in. What does this mean? Well, it means that they are buying our minds. The fabric of our society wasn't like this. This is a lot of American money. And according to Neil Datta, who I've talked about on this show before, who runs the European Parliamentary Forum on Sexual and Reproductive Rights, there's a lot of Russian money as well. The men controlling the algorithms, who are getting richer and richer and richer, are now shaping our boys' and young men's minds and our girls' minds too. They're buying their points of view. So, and apparently, I don't know if you saw in The Guardian very recently, but if you look it up, there's a visual deep dive. It's like a slideshow with videos on exactly what the manosphere is and what it's doing. It's really, really interesting. You should absolutely Google it. And apparently the most common theme of why young men break out of the manosphere is they get a girlfriend. So this is interesting, isn't it? But of course, this is interesting, but of course it's preying on isolation and loneliness. And feminists always get blamed for the male loneliness epidemic. But just to defend myself, I don't think that 14-year-old boys are listening to 8 hours a day of the Guilty Feminist. I don't think they're going, oh, I'm a feminist, but I don't think I'm a good enough man. Oh, no, I'm not tall enough. I've never said you weren't tall enough. My husband is shorter than me. I've never said you weren't tall enough. That was what Andrew Tate told you. That was what Jordan Peterson told you. I never said that you weren't tall enough. I never said that you weren't good enough. And any feminism that does say that is playing into the same problem. So what I'm going to suggest is that we really need, whatever we do and wherever we are, is we need to find our young women and men in our communities, our children in our communities. Has anyone here got a child or knows a child? Excellent. Has anyone here affiliated with a school? Yeah. We need to be talking to our young people, and we need to be saying to them, your mind cannot be bought. It's being bought. We need to do the research. We need to demonstrate how minds and points of view are being bought, that your brain is being trained to think certain things, and that if you watched anything for that many hours a week, you would start to believe it. Your brain is not for sale. Your mind is not for sale. Your point of view on women is not for sale. Your point of view on skincare and the shape your face should somehow be through contouring, it's not for sale. We need to start talking to our children. We need to start talking to our young people. And more than that, like frequently, regularly, hold conversation circles in your local school, whatever it is that you need to do. Talk to your kids and their friends. Ask them questions. Don't lecture them, but ask them how they're feeling. Because we've got to buy back the space in our own brains before we're going to change this. But also, we have elected officials who we vote for once every 4 years, and then we trust to make lots and lots and lots of decisions for us. And often we think, well, what can you do? What does it really do? I wrote to my MP once, nothing changed. So what is incredibly important is the kind of people that will come to this room, this hot room on a Sunday night, and sit on these wooden seats, bunched up together, and cheer at the very word feminism. I'm so sorry, it's down to you. I wish it were just this, but it isn't. It's down to us to start figuring out how does democracy work in our country, and wherever you're listening around the world, it will be slightly different. How does it work, and how can you use it? Because the far right's getting super organised, and we need to be organised, but I don't really know what that means. What kind of organising do we need to be doing? How? Who? Where? How much time is it going to take? I've got a job. What kind of organising? If there's enough of us on it, will we be able to organise? What exactly does it look like? So tonight, we're going to talk about how democracy can work for us, how it's going, what's the danger points, what can we see in our future that's not great, what are our what's the hopefulness, where are we winning? When we are winning, how are we winning? And then we find out what we're doing there and we start using it over here on places where we are losing. That is what is really, really important. And it's down to us because we were all organised enough to leave the house and find a theatre in Bloomsbury and find a friend to come with or bold enough to come on our own, whatever it was. So if it's not going to be us, I tell you, there's a lot of people who definitely aren't going to do this. Now you've come here, you are one of the ones who is going to do this. Now, it might be you. I don't know what your life looks like. For some of you, that might be, you might be able to do a lot more, some a lot less, but everyone has to do something, lock the doors. Now, before you leave here, there will be a quiz and a small commitment ceremony on what you intend to do. Because I will not have this country where, well, I came to this country in the 90s, and the fabric of the society, the arts, the stories that were going on, the connections that were being made, and it seemed to be getting better and better in many, many ways. And we cannot have it bought by fundamentalist American Christian nationalists who are not Christian in any way, who are just wanting women in the kitchen pumping out the babies and men I don't know, thinking about how they carry a folder and sit on a chair in a manly way. That's not what we are. And we're not for sale. They will not buy us. We will get the word out and we will win. And if we do not win, and if reform takes power, we will need an organised, well-connected, empathetic, compassionate, loving resistance on day one. So everything we do for the next 3.5 years is not wasted. It doesn't matter if if a reform coalition or a reform government come in. It doesn't matter. In fact, if they do get in, I mean, it does matter, but I mean, it's that your work will not be wasted if they get in. Your work will not be wasted if they get in. In fact, your work will be even more necessary because things will change and we will need to be on the ground, ready and connected. Are you with me? Yeah. Excellent. In that case, let's start the show. Please welcome to the stage my incredible co-host for this evening. It's the wonderful Jessica Fostekew. Jess, you sit there.
Yeah, okay. Hello, hi. What a lovely audience.
You
have got a wonderful hubbub. Even before it kicked off. What a great audience, great vibes coming off them. I reckon we're all going to stop the old road to Gilead tonight. You know what they say, fourth show lucky.
Fourth show lucky
for
reversing the rise of unstoppable fascism.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Four shows it takes.
Yeah.
And I loved all your collective noise, and then there was a singular moment, and I don't know who did it, but I even snuck into the... Okay. Even snuck... in my waiting cave, when Deborah was doing some... yeah, well, you're really pulling focus there.
So
that's
sorry.
your first time a feminist, but...
It's not inspiring confidence for organisation against fascism if I can't pour a glass of water, is it?
Yeah.
No, my clipboard's fucked. Sorry, Jessica, please continue.
My point is, I really liked it earlier when you were doing some statistics and you said 20% of the funding is going on making people not like abortions. I'm paraphrasing. But when you gave that stat, someone in the audience, like on their own but really loudly, went, "Oh!" And I did like that. And I don't think that noise is used by adults enough, actually. And I think there's a lot of things we should bring back for adults to be able to use. And
it's like a child.
Some news is like, I'm fucking here for that.
It's like a child rejecting broccoli, except it's a feminist rejecting anti-abortion.
We get to sort of 2, 3, 4 years old and stop doing noises like that. Bring them back. Get them in Parliament.
Listen. If we've ever needed them, we need them today. We need them now. How are you, Jess?
I'm very well. Yes, very well, thanks, darling. How are you?
Very well. How's life, love, and feminism for you?
Chaotic. But it's happening.
Yes. That's how I feel at the moment. Chaotic, but it's happening.
Yeah.
I feel a great deal of energy and inspiration.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I understand what my purpose is. And at the same time, one is always juggling a lot of balls because it's not really my job.
Well, you've got to do something in your downtime. That is my job. I'm just here for comedy, really. We've got very powerful intellectual guests, and they've got that covered. Them and Deborah have got that covered. I'll be doing jokes like that.
Listen,
all right, that's my wheelhouse.
Listen, this is basically Woman's Hour with innuendo, and which I think would be a massive improvement.
Yeah, it's Women's Hour, but if they were sort of nice to the guests.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if Women's Hour was a panto. That's what the Guilty Feminist is with Jessica Fostekew, and I love it. I'm here for it. I haven't booked her twice in a quick row for nothing.
Yeah. No, I think being part of this feels good, and I feel like genuinely, there's a little bit of hope in the air. It feels really different to even a few months ago. I think there's all sorts of things happening, but even just on a kind of, in my small own world, people, and we're coming into the winter months, so that's incongruous. But I feel like the conversations I'm having aren't so bleak. They aren't so hopeless. I've got friends signing up to become counsellors. I've got friends taking political action who would never do that kind of thing, historically. And I just think there's this I can think the mists are clearing and we're mobilising. It could be that that's what's happening, and it could be that my HRT has finally kicked in. We'll live and learn. We'll live and learn.
It's probably a combination of the two, Jess.
Probably a combo of the two.
Probably a combo, absolutely, absolutely. Listen, estrogen's not unhelpful in the battle.
No.
If you're not patched up, doesn't matter the age, get patched up. Now, don't listen to your doctor, buy it illegally online.
We shouldn't put that out. We shouldn't put that out.
That was a joke. But
one of your adoring feminist fans is going to be sort of gelling up the little forearms of their baby if you're not careful.
Can I just suggest, if you're listening from home and preparing to email in, if people laughed, take it that it was a joke, so we don't have to say it was a joke. Yeah, the signal for it's a joke is everyone laughed. If no one had laughed, I would have had to retract it.
Yeah, and send me home. Okay.
I think I said it.
Oh, yeah,
All
you
right.
said it. Oh, for once. Yeah, can we make... if that stays in, then, let's... For the record...
For
Deborah
once, it wasn't Jessica Fostekew.
Yeah. Flirting with a cancellation.
One-way ticket to Council Town.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the name of your memoir. So, before we get our guests on, would you like to hear some stand-up comedy?
Oh.
Then please welcome to the stage the incredible Jessica Fostekew.
Right. Okay. Okay, we're straight in. Right. Where should we begin? I've got some sort of general thoughts, stuff I've noticed. Don't worry, we'll save the heavy politics for later. My favourite thing I noticed on the way in, other than realising that Deborah rhymed to zebra, was I saw a woman and I was like, oh, I love that for you, because I just love it when people are uninhibited in their singing. And she had a song in her mind, and she didn't have her earphones in, she had a song in her head that I've also had in my head this week, which was that, talk to me, that one. And she was singing it, but she was just doing that line over and over again. And as I got closer, I realised she was singing it at a dog. That's good. Tick. Some of these will be things I've only ever say tonight, all right? Just some good things my wife has said recently. Out of nowhere, she said, I'd consult you before I got a hawk. I fucking hope so. Also, I worry I'm never going to notice if she ever gets dementia because she barely says anything as they're meant to be said already. She's not even 40 yet, and she... My favourite is this sentence. She said, and I knew what she meant. She said, just hold me one tickins. That's good, isn't it? Just hold on a ticket. Just hold on a minute. Just hold me one tickins. I've had a little note in my phone since she said that just says, just hold me one tickins. OK, you found it cute rather than funny, which means that will be just for you. That can be just for you. I wish adults, and not just kids, still got given a sticker or a lolly after we'd done something brave. Yeah. OK. I think that could be how we mobilise more of us into action. Is this how we lure in the centre and the right, even the... Is this how we coax everyone into an alignment against fascism? Yes. Stickers and lollies, yes. I have noticed, whilst I've got an involuntary thing in my stand-up, if any of you have seen my new show, which goes on tour from February, but it's already been on in London, but it's on in London again, but if any of you have seen it, I've got a bit in my show about how I can't control myself on the sidelines of my son's football matches. It's like I'm possessed, and I just have to limit myself to generic positivity. And I'm not the only one. There's a dad who basically says, eyes on the ball, eyes on the ball, eyes on the ball, eyes on the ball for the whole game every Sunday. And mine's stuff more like, come on, Lewisham, you got this blues, come on, Lewisham, over and over and over again. It's really, I can't stop it. Interestingly today, I realised that when I use the phrases, heads up, Blues, wake up, Lewisham, heads up, it's code for be better at football. This is hard to watch, be better at football. And actually, sort of acknowledging the code means you can be specific with it as well. You can shout a kid's name and say, be better at football. And I had a quick chat with all the other parents, and it's what they secretly mean by their words too. Also, this isn't comedy, but just a nice moment. I've just assumed, because this is actually, in this football arc for him has been going on for a season, and now we're into a new season. And I've had this revelation about myself that I can't not bellow. I really try not to. I've brought in scarves, belts to use as gags. I've got through 4 apples. I will shout through the food. I'm like trying to block the noise, and I can't not do it. And I've just assumed I was a source of unending shame for him. And today he said, no, I like it. I know, you're right to all that. Thanks for clapping. But then I realised it just means you're not looking at your phone. It means you're watching. Yeah, right, shouldn't be so hard to attain. OK, I'm a sturdy girl. I'm proud to be a sturdy girl. If you don't know what that means, for me, it means things like, for example, quite often I'll look at a photo of myself and I'll think, why is your leg up there? And it was my arm. I do a lot of PE. I love PE. That's not the only tenet of being a sturdy girl, but for me, it's one of the kind of main tenets. I like picking up heavy things, and I sort of actually really genuinely like exercise and do it for joy. And I have no interest in ever being thin. It's not something that's of value to me in that specific way. So, anyway, yeah. So. But sometimes it's hard. I'm pretty unshakable these days in those convictions and values, but it's hard to take compliments on the sturdiness of myself as compliments, because sometimes they're poorly worded. I shared a long train all the way from Glasgow to London this week with a man who had only very recently arrived in the UK from Mongolia, and he was fascinated with me. And he kept saying, strong lady, like Mongolian. And that was fine. That was nice. It was nice. He'd had a few drinks. He kept poking me in the traps, and kept giving me very, very, very powerful handshakes. And he hadn't learnt much. And he was sort of getting other people to look. There was a woman sat opposite, and he was like, "Have you seen?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right, all right, mate." And considering he'd hardly learnt any English at this point, it's sort of weird that he'd already learnt the words shoulder bulk. That's hard to take as a compliment, shoulder bulk. By the way, if you're listening or here tonight and you don't know if you are a sturdy girl, one green flag, basically that means you are one, is if you secretly really do love to go to the tip. Yes. But yes, weightlifting's my favourite type of PE. I wasn't able to do it for a lot of last year because I got my arm and wrist were broken, so I couldn't do picking up heavy things for a long time. For a long time I was left with just running. But I learnt an incredible thing about myself I did loads of running instead for a bit, and I learnt not to hate it, mainly because I discovered I've got a very clever bottom. Thank you, good reaction. It's really clever, my bum. Now I've actually got a very deeply imperfect arse for running because it's big. She's a whopper, and that's splendid. No, I love it. You know, it looks great. It's great for sitting. It's fabulous to look at. You're welcome. But it's not good for running. Long distance running, it's quite literally holding me back. It is crap for running. It's nature's weighted rucksack. It's sort of physically unhelpful. It's as unhelpful as the tits. If anything, it's the tits of the legs. That's my favourite thing I've ever written. And I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. I've learned I've got a clever bum. My bum knows it's not helping me when I'm running. So my bum's gone, well, while you're doing that then, I'll get some other stuff done. And the things it has achieved. So I wear a belt so I can have my phone and keys or whatever on me, and the stuff my bum has done on that phone while I've been running. The top two things, it's blocked me out of the phone, sometimes for 45 minutes. Did you know it could do that? Rude. Once it made a call to Korean emergency services, which beautifully was received. So for over 30 seconds, some poor Korean firefighter had to listen to me going, with the sound of the phone banging away. But the best one, after a longer run at one point, and I'll leave you with this, after a longer run, I looked at my phone, and what my bum had done, it had gone into a WhatsApp group that I'm in with my son's entire year group. It had made myself an admin. It deleted 19 other parents. And then it left the group.
Jessica Fostekew, everybody! Jess, come and sit here. That was wonderful. And if you do get a chance to see Jessica Fostekew's show, Iconic Breath,
that's it.
You absolutely must. I went and I laughed hysterically, and I highly recommend it to everybody. It's a very joyful show. It's a joyful show that you need right now. So it's time for our guests. Our first guest is a champion of women's rights and LGBTQ+ rights who chairs all-party parliamentary groups on sexual health and serves as Deputy Speaker of the House of Lords. Please welcome to the stage, Baroness Liz Barker! Thank you, Baroness Barker. Take a seat. She is joined by a lifelong advocate for gender equality and reproductive justice, leading international efforts to ensure every person can make free and informed choices. She is the director of the London office of the UN Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency, otherwise known as UNFPA. Please welcome to the stage, Monica Ferro. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Hello. First of all, Baroness Barker, may I call you Liz?
Oh, yes, please do.
Excellent. Do you know what I loved, Liz, actually, was when Jess was saying, you're a sturdy girl if you secretly like going to the tip, that Liz was just like nodding and looking at me like, yeah, that's me. Do you secretly love going to the tip?
I do.
Yay! Welcome.
I do.
Yes.
I've got a favourite one as well.
Have you? Have you? Yeah. What's your favourite tip? Or do you not want everyone to know?
Merton. Definitely.
Merton tip.
Yeah, definitely better than Wandsworth. Oh, yeah.
She loves Wandsworth. Do you have to book in?
No.
No, that is nice. Old school. You can just rock up and then just really well organised?
If you know them.
If you know them. Oi, oi!
They'll take care of a baroness, won't they? Down at Merton Tip.
this.
Absolutely. Monica, do you have a favourite tip? It's not how I've ever started a guest interview before, but I can't see why not. Do you enjoy going to dump rubbish? I get the feeling by the elegance of your outfit and the way your legs are crossed that you've never been to a rubbish tip in your life. Have you ever dumped rubbish, or do you have people for that? I don't know.
I don't understand the concept.
It's like these days they call them like recycling centres.
Oh.
And it's where you'll take your big stuff that's too big to go in a bin. So
Oh,
if you've
that
got
I
some-
like. I like.
Yeah.
Oh, you do
And
like?
chuck it in. Dirty girl, I knew it.
Yeah.
We can
Excellent.
be glamorous too.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So this isn't the main topic that we've called.
No, it
we
isn't,
haven't dragged you
unfortunately.
from your homes on a Sunday night to talk about this. But what I do want to know is how do we take the patriarchy to the tip? What
See what you did.
you guys are like a Friday night audience. I
I
love
know,
it.
I
I love
love
the energy.
this.
I'm loving your energy. Can I ask you, first of all, Liz, you're in the Lords.
Yeah.
At the moment, the bill to decriminalise abortion or partially decriminalise abortion is in the Lords. How's it going?
Well, I think some of you will, in this audience, will know that the clause, it's called Clause 191, it got through the House of Commons. And it's going to come to it's going to be debated in the House of Lords. It's a massive, massive bill, and it's probably going to come in a few weeks' time. It will, in the House of Lords, we debate everything, word by word. We get to debate absolutely everything. So you might have seen this week that on the assisted dying bill, we have 972 amendments, and we, unlike the Commons, we don't have a guillotine because that's what we're there to do, is to discuss legislation. There are a number of amendments which have been put forward, basically to overturn the decision that was made in the Commons. There are other people who've got it into their heads that what has been proposed, they've listened to the line coming from the antis that says this is allowing a termination up to birth, and that there is nothing that can stop a woman from serially terminating a number of pregnancies up to birth. The fact that there is no evidence in any place in the world where the law has been changed that will happen doesn't stop the antis from perpetuating that. And so a number of people have got very hooked on that, and they're coming in with some amendments that will try and water down what was passed in the Lords. So we're having to go through a process of talking to people. And I'll be honest with you, there are some women in the Lords who I would have down as nailed, 1970s feminists who actually did go through all of the fights to get us to where we are now, who I would have assumed would have looked at what happened in the Commons and who would have taken it, but they've got doubts. And so we're having to go through a process of just making sure that people really understand what's being said. And we are reliant upon the Royal Colleges, the RCOG, the Colleges of Sexual Health, to come in and talk about what the actual evidence is. And I'm going to come back to that time and time again. We are up against, as those of you who listened to Neil Datta the other week, we are up against a campaign which is founded on beliefs, and is beliefs which are not backed up by evidence. And we know that it's a sort of multifaceted campaign. It has strategic targets like being anti-LGBT, anti-abortion, anti-sex and relationship education, pro-family, pro-protecting children. And the same arguments get churned out on each of those different topics. But when you listen to the people who put forward their reasoning behind it, there's never any hard evidence. I mean, one of their big targets that they for the whole of the anti-abortion movement at the moment is they want to get telemedicine. They really want to get rid of telemedicine because they understand that telemedicine really is the thing which enables the majority of women to exercise choice. And they've come up with this argument which is completely bogus. about the fact that if you can't have a face-to-face discussion, then somehow it's not a proper consultation, and that women will be coerced into having abortion. And all the evidence that has been done, you can talk about this better than I can on an international basis, all the evidence is to the contrary. We were very, very lucky. We got telemedicine when COVID came along.
And just to define telemedicine, that's when you can order online or you can have a consultation with a doctor online, and the medication for you to have a termination can come to your home.
That's right. That's right. You can have the 2 tablets at home. You have to have a medical consultation. And what happened was that because abortion is one of the most heavily regulated, tightly regulated parts of healthcare, we kept very, very strict data about what happened to people. And we knew that, in fact, because the nurses who were doing those consultations were so skilled, actually they managed to find women who'd been trafficked, women who were being coerced in all sorts of different ways. It wasn't the fact that women were not being coerced into having abortions that they didn't want. So when you go and get the real evidence, it goes the opposite. It's contraindicative to much of what is being thing. And that's what all of you, any of you who have a role in amassing data, hard data and evidence, that's the most important thing to do.
Yeah, find the hard evidence. Can I ask quite a boring data question that I had off the back of what you just said? So are people who are amassing the number of women who have had a termination in terms of that data, are they also including, if it's telemedicine then, every single morning after pill that's ever been prescribed?
There are some really hokey statistics that
because there wasn't necessarily a pregnancy there.
Yes, there are some. There's a weird figure that's going around about 50,000 adverse reactions that women have had, and I don't. It's not a true figure. It's one that they trot out all the time. Rachel Clark from BPAS, who is all over all of the detail on all of this, and is a tremendously good woman. If you've not come across her before, will tell you what the actual figures are, and they're nothing like that at all.
So how hopeful are you that you will be able to convince your peers in the House of Lords that this bill should go through? And how much do you feel it's going to be disrupted by this anti-abortion sentiment that's seeping into the culture of our society that wasn't there before?
I'm confident that we will get it through eventually. It might take a while, but we will. Because bear in mind, in recent years, the House of Lords has been absolutely solid on safe access zones for clinics. Members of the House of Lords, you generally are of an age, sat until 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure that we extended the laws to Northern Ireland. So there are quite a lot of that said. There have been an awful lot of people who've been put into the House of Lords recently by successive people who are much more of the Trumpian hard right kind of stuff. So their numbers have gone up a bit, but I think that we can, with the help of the colleges, with the help of the absolute hard evidence, we should be able to get this through.
Well, we wish you very well with that. Is there anything we can do to help, or once it's in the Lords, you can't really? How do we influence the Lords? It could be this issue, it could be a completely different issue. Sure. As there's more money coming in, changing the fabric of our society and what people think. I always perceive the House of Lords has a better track record on human rights because people don't have to be re-elected. So is that true?
It has been the case up until now, but like human rights across every democratic political institution, we are coming up against this same campaign, funded to the armed to the teeth with funding, and conducting lawfare. What they fail to win in Parliament, they take to the courts.
They call that lawfare, like warfare.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a very American way of doing things, but it is. We know. that they have got very, very deep pockets, and they are funding case after case after case. That's why we're getting all the cases. Employment cases, they pick people off one by one.
So is it very different now from how it was? Have
It's
you
changing.
noticed a difference?
It's changing, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would say that the anti-gender brigade have been. There've been articles in the newspaper, so I'm not saying anything that's wrong. They have been very, very targeted in that they've been working away in the House of Lords and in the Commons for a few years now. You can watch them. I'm told, I've never been, but I'm told that in the UN. You can sit and watch the same sort of actors sitting doing the same sort of stuff.
These are lobbyists.
Yeah,
working.
They are the Christian nationalists.
I really want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Monica, I want to come to you now because you work for the UN, the UN's organisation in arm in the UK that deals with reproductive rights. What's your view on all of this? Have you seen a big shift or felt a big shift because you've worked in this area your whole career? What's your sense of where we are?
Well, pretty much what we just heard from Liz. A couple, maybe with two big differences. Well, first of all, we see that these movements are super well organized. And for them, facts matter very little. Even when I try to use evidence and I ask for hard evidence, I'm often faced with a counter argument saying that's your opinion. And we say, no, it's not our opinion. The fact that we, the United Nations Population Fund, we have 150 offices in 130 countries where we run programs with. So this also defeats a bit the narrative of this anti-choice movement where they say, gender equality, SRHR, those are creations of Western countries imposed on the other parts of the world. That's not true, because I can tell you that we work in 130 countries where we have agreements signed with governments, and in all our agreements, gender equality is a must. SRHR is always included. So it actually means that if you add those 130 countries we work in with the other countries that fund us, it's pretty universal. There's a pretty universal acceptance that these rights are fundamental for gender equality, even for economic empowerment. I know most of you will not want to hear me use economic arguments, but we have to.
Yeah.
It's good for the economy.
I want to
it's
hear
good.
it.
Good.
I want to hear it.
Oh.
I want to hear
Really?
I
All
want
the arguments.
pragmatic and get it done. I think for too long on the left, we've put out our arguments about justice and fairness, but if we are in an increasingly capitalist society which hoovers all of that up and just says this is what's actually happening, we need to be we need to have watertight arguments in every single direction.
Yeah.
And
So I'm happy for that, because I've often got into troubles by by using economic arguments. So one of the things that we are trying to do to counter this narrative is by coming up with what we call return on investment. So we can actually show you how much $1 invested in family planning in certain countries yields at least $13 and the potential of transformation we have on this. Our latest report goes as far as costing discrimination, how much discrimination costs to an economy, how much money you could have into the global economy by allowing people with all their identities to exercise a full set of choices.
Yeah.
But I'm often challenged by either telling me that's your opinion, and I always say to people, you can have your opinion, not your own facts. Facts are, and this is why we are also a very data-driven organization. So if you receive an email from me, it will say something like on the signature, it will say, delivering a world where every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, every young people potential is fulfilled. I know you forgot in the beginning, it's fine. We often have to think about it. But a couple of years ago, our tagline was only because everybody counts. And the narrative is quite simple. If everybody counts, everyone needs to be accounted for and taken into account. And this is kind of the way we see the world. Everyone is unique. Everyone has a set of rights they can exercise, and we should create the conditions for them to exercise their rights.
To have absolute choice,
Absolute choice.
in the sense, we were discussing pre-show, but there's an argument that's emerging as part of the anti-abortion, anti-reproductive rights movement that's not particularly religious. That the one tenet of it that is valid from a feminist aspect is they are arguing that there's no evidence necessarily that this is the case specifically, but that one reason why a woman might choose to not go ahead with the pregnancy is that she can't afford that, or she can't afford to continue to work if she does choose to keep the child. That situation is fixable with creating both sides of the argument want women to be able to have options economically in those situations. That's not like so. I don't know. It sort of defeats itself as part of their argument, but also it is a valid thing to want, right?
Yeah, I don't want to live in a society that's so desperately weighted towards the 1% that people can't afford to have children if they want to have children. Absolutely, of course. But I don't see that being the fault of feminism.
No, 100%, but that's where it's skewed. There's this idea that it's the different people arguing for that, and that people who are pro-choice don't want that for women. Yeah, we do. We just want all
choice.
The things. We want all choice to
absolutely.
Either way.
This is why I like to call the anti-gender, anti-rights, anti-democracy, I like to call them anti-choice.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that they don't want us to choose.
And this is an anti-choice movement. That's such a concise and powerful framing of it.
In terms of, the whole gamut. Liz, can I ask you, you said before there are lobbyists down at the House of Lords lobbying for Christian nationalist values and far-right values. How do we in this room become lobbyists? Can we? Are we allowed to? Can we lobby?
And when we're doing it, should we go,
Because the way that I found you is Neil Datta, who I'd already interviewed. I found him on the internet, not on a dating site. That sounds now like found him on Hinge. Yeah, no, I found him on the internet by doing my research, and then it was an email. I just emailed him. I thought he was not going to email back. Lo and behold, he did email back like immediately and said yes, and jumped on a Zoom and this is for research for my book. He recommended that I talk to Liz, and he also introduced me to you, Monica. He's a fountain of guests. But all I did was write to you. He didn't introduce me to you. I just wrote to you through the House of Lords, and I thought, well, she's never going to get back. It just says if you want to talk to a Lord, just write to this big sludge fund email address and say who you'd like to talk to. So I thought I would give it a go, but it's not going to happen, is it? But you did. You wrote back and said, yes, you would come on the show. So are you more accessible than we think? Because I would have thought you weren't. I would have thought, how do I get there?
Yes, we are. I mean, we all have parliamentary emails, which you can go and find out. I think it's They Work For You or something like that. You can get in touch. We get a lot of, on all manner of subjects, we get people coming to us. You can also, a good place to start is to look at the all-parliamentary group. There's all-parliamentary groups on Everett. There's zillions of them, all-parliamentary groups on God knows what. But there are the two that we've talked about. There's also the all-parliamentary group on HIV/AIDS, which I'm been proud to be involved with for over 30 years. So you can do that. You can. It always makes me laugh when people like Putin go on about this international gay conspiracy. I think, oh, I wish, no, mate, there really isn't one, honestly. Because if there was, I think I would have known about it.
Do you worry you've just been left off the group chat, Liz?
You have, I have.
Imagine if you found out.
I'm officially a lady, mate. If they want to leave me off the guest list, they're not very, very strategic.
What a way to find out from Putin that you're not in the bug.
We're not very well organised. They are. They have one organisation that sorts out the messaging. Then they have lots of different front organisations.
What's the one that sorts out the messaging?
I think. I mean, it all comes from America. I think it's like the Heritage Foundation and that the Project 2025.
And then they've got the ADF.
And you've got the Christian Broadcasting Network, and they amplify it and they do that.
That's the same organisation funding Tommy Robinson.
But we don't. So I think what we have to do is we have to find our coalitions. We have got a long-established reproductive rights set of organisations backed by the professions and the royal colleges and so on. We have all those alliances that we built up over the last 50, 60 years to get all of the social reforms that came about in the 1960s and 70s and got us through it. And we need to go back and rebuild them. And one of the key things that I think we need to do is that we need to find the people in the religions who are on our side. They are there, but they are very browbeaten because they're getting hammered by this right-wing evangelical lot with a load of money as well. So we need to be going and making alliances
and
with them.
encouraging them as well.
Correct. And people can go. You can go and talk to your member of Parliament. You can write to any member of the House of Lords. But what I think that we should do, as I often use an analogy and say, they are like the biggest, most well-kitted out, targeted army, and they know exactly what they're doing. We are like little, community groups who pride ourselves on being grassroots. Well, actually, we're just like individuals in foxholes getting bloody picked off one by one. So I think what we need to do is to go and find the organisations that can give leadership and are trying to give leadership. So, for example, on trans things, Transactual, wider LGBT things, Stonewall. Going to some of the women's organisations, the women's organisations are being targeted like nobody's business by the opposition.
When you say targeted,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Oh, they are being challenged. They're being, individual leaders are getting. I just watch people. I watch people in the media, and I watch people in the House suddenly starting to echo their words, and I just think, all right, you've been got at. Let me tell you one of the things that I think that we need to do in order to win any campaign. You need to control the language. And they haven't got any evidence, but they have got a very, very well crafted set of messages that play on fears, and you can, if you listen to them long enough and like I have and like Neil does, you begin to hear it. Whenever I hear coercion, I know what's going on. Lesbians being coerced into having sex by trans people, women being coerced into having abortions by a partner, older people being coerced into deciding to have assisted dying by their relative, young people being coerced into having sex because they've had sex and been exposed to sex and relationship. It's always there. And you know what? There is never, ever the evidence behind it that says that this is a systematic thing which is being, to back it up. So I just watch this poisonous message go round and round and round and infect people. And what we have to do is we have to find the people who are battling away on our side, and there are quite a lot of them. There are individual journalists who are having a really tough time, but they are trying to do it too, and get the evidence and the information, amplify Neil's message to people. Because what you really need to do with any politician, and this isn't a wrong thing, a politician needs to be able to defend what they want to say to the media and so on. So, we need to be saying to them, look, there is no systematic evidence that trans people are a threat to women. There isn't. There is no evidence that abortion is harming women. There isn't. And make sure that we go back and reinforce that with them to the point that they are confident, because our media landscape is really, really, really difficult.
How do we, I'm just thinking practically, is there a way of organising a conference where we get people in the room who know about this stuff and who know about persuasion and people from Saatchi and Saatchi, I don't care where we're from, who know about how do we figure out what language is going to be persuasive. Maybe Saatchi and Saatchi aren't right, but you know what I mean? Like how do we do this? I think we do need to get organised. We do need to get coalitions, and we do need to start doing it, but we probably need some funding. And maybe at the beginning, it just needs to be everybody coming voluntarily, and then we get some donors along, and we start to create a house where we create viral videos with, and we decide on what the language is, and we all start doing it and start sharing it so that we become as organised as they do. Do you have any other ideas for this?
Yeah, I do. They did not win in Poland. They did not win in the last Australian election, and we need to go and find out what happened. You know, in the last elections in Poland, gay people and women stood there and thought, do you know, we know who's oppressing us, and it's not trans people, actually.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And they formed an alliance. And so there are other places around the world where it's happened. And we need to go and support people like Neil and the remaining international organisations which are not yet run into the ground by the Americans, which is what they are. I mean, that is a very key objective. All of this, the ultimate objective is to get rid of human rights and the organisations which defend. So
what,
that
globally get rid of human rights?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that you can restore the the natural order. That's, you know, going back to Neil's original report. You can
by the natural order they mean men in charge, women holding out babies.
Gilead, I think you'll find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, and that's what they think the natural order is.
Yes.
And that's their goal. How likely do you think? I mean, that they will be able to achieve it, and what will we have to do to stop them achieving it?
I actually am hopeful that we will be able to stop them, because you know what? It isn't an economic. Doesn't have an economic basis.
So it's what Monica was saying about use the money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's what motivates them. It's not what motivates us, but it's...
Yeah, but actually it needs to do it. It's our one salvation, because at a personal individual level, at a country level, at a global level, the economics of this do not stack up. They really don't. And that's the thing that we need to work towards, and to get that message through to individual people. If you are not in control of your reproduction, then you cannot be independently active and contributing to the economy of your country.
They don't want that now, though. They keep saying women should be financially dependent on their husbands so that we have more babies. Monica, I feel like you were trying to get in there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No.
You said you love working where you work, and I'd love to hear more on that.
I do, but I want to add a bit to the, there's a narrative already, part of our work as a global organization is to make sure that the language is there, and that we also help countries to preserve the language. You know, I have some very funny examples how things are orchestrated. You know, I was in Geneva before moving to London, and one of the things that I had to do was the Human Rights Council. So there's a specific session like 6 years ago, where all of a sudden, all the delegations started to use the same arguments. It was like someone wrote those arguments for them, because they were all echoing the same. And it's not by coincidence, right? We see those organizations who are very well funded, they reached out to certain member states and they wrote the talking points. So there was one talking point that kind of became like funny, I think, because a couple of delegations were saying, we are looking through a document, and they all said, let's delete gender and replace it by sex. So it's part of the strategy, right? Let's refuse the social construct. Let's just focus on biology. And then there's a person who's chairing a negotiation. He was kind of fed up. And then he says to a delegate, he says, delete gender and replace it by sex. And he actually says, dear delegate, well, notice your preference for sex. And everyone just laughed because, we were just exhausted.
With everybody saying the same thing.
Yeah, everyone saying the same. But this is
the
how they
equivalent of the dad who goes, eyes on the ball, eyes on the ball,
Yeah.
eyes on the ball, for the whole
So we
match.
also know where they come from. So I think this is very important. The language is there, the arguments are there. We are always concerned about giving you activists, feminists, the right evidence so that you can support your narrative with the right evidence. But then we are faced with algorithms. I cannot pitch my work in a 30-second TikTok video. I can't. I'm sorry. It's almost impossible. And then I'm bounded by truth, which is something that makes me less effective than the others, right?
And something gives me the ick about like right-minded people being as unnuanced as to get in a room and give everyone a line to say. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
But
not quite
they
right. I
twist-
think because there's people that could have 5 different base point opinions, but all have one shared one.
And they
that's-
twist the language, you know,
yes.
they take our language and then they slightly twist it.
Yes.
Like talking about rights, and they say things like family planning, now they call natural family planning. Or natural family planning. Or when we talk about abortion, they go against it and say, you know, they use all the right words. Pro-family. And I say, well, no one who's pro-choice
Is
says they are against
anti-family.
family, right?
Yeah.
But they always say it in the singular way.
Yeah.
Family. There's only one way.
Right.
So I think
Do not say gender critical. Say anti-trans,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is from the same.
Right.
This is from the same group of people that tried to rebrand creationism as intelligent design. Well, we saw through that one, but enough of us need to keep going back. You are not pro-family. You are anti-abortion.
Can I just add something
Yeah.
that's pretty much in line with your title? I'm not trying to be too narrow in my thinking, but think about many of the conversations that you are listening to now. They have to do with the focus on women's reproductive role.
Yeah.
Completely focused. You talk about the crisis in the social welfare system. Women are to be blamed because they're not having enough babies. You talk about the need to have migrant workers because we don't have enough workforce in our economies. It's women's fault. They're not having enough babies. And it goes to the point, you know, our latest report has a couple of interesting anecdotal stories about having legislators saying that the problem is that women spend too many years in university, so they defer the beginning of, this is not a joke. It's actually uttered in public. Or having someone connected with Project 2025 saying, the problem is that young people overconsume education. So what's the response to this? Let's increase tuition and let's slow social benefits so they are forced out of school earlier so they can start to have families earlier.
There's a hardcore message about young women not going to university now. I
Yeah.
see it everywhere.
But it's a
like,
fixation
oh,
on
you'll
reproductive
just get
roles. Women have
bills.
to have babies.
Yeah. And do we need more babies? Because I feel like with the environment, we don't need more babies.
Well, what our latest report shows, we did, it's the first UN report based on an inquiry.
Right.
So we surveyed 14 countries, about 1/3 of the world population, and actually people tell us they want to have babies. But what's interesting is that the majority of people who say they don't have the number of babies they want to have, economic hardship as the first one, health issues as the second one, sexist norms as the third one, which is quite interesting.
Sexist norms means
yeah.
they're not having babies. Well,
they're
then we
not-
could fix that.
Yeah, and
I've got a thought.
But the last one, to your point, Deborah, is 1/5 actually of young people actually told us they're not having babies because they are hopeless for the future. They have
Yeah.
no hope in the future.
Climate change,
Yeah.
economic
Wars,
realities, wars.
pandemics.
I get it. Do you have any questions for Monica or Liz? Audience.
Oh, tons of them. I know.
Just pop your hand up. We've got to finish soon, so now is the chance to ask a question. While you're thinking, I'm just going to say, is there anything we can be doing to use the democratic process better that we are not doing, that you see, that you get frustrated with because ordinary people are just going about their day going, there's nothing I can do?
Oh, talking to your MPs, your current MPs, talking to prospective candidates. The other side are doing that. They are targeting them very, very hard. And some politicians are running scared of that. I hope that all of you responded to the consultation on the EHRC guidance. The EHRC, I think, has been very, very controversial of late. It's got a new director coming, a new chair coming in. I think that it sounds like a very boring thing, but watching what the EHRC is producing by way of guidance and all of that it is very, very important. And the one thing that I say, and I say this quite a lot, you know, I go into rooms full of gay people. I say that. You think that the best thing that you could do for LGBT rights is to be your authentic self and to go out and party very hard, you know, well, sure, you know. What I want you to do is something different. I want you to stand up for the Human Rights Act. I don't care if you do it in drag, I don't care if you do it in high heels, but you have got to stand up for the Human Rights Act and the Equality Act, because if we let those go, then all of us, no matter who we are going to be fighting this. We're going to be fighting this with both hands tied behind our back. So I know human rights is boring and it makes people's eyes glaze over, but actually human rights is about the rights of you, me, everybody, including people that we don't like, to be treated as human beings.
How do we fight for it? What do we do? What practical things? Like, I get out of bed in the morning, I think I want to fight for the Human Rights Act. What do I do? What's the?
I think one of the things that you can do is you can start talking to people about what's in the newspapers and why is the Human Rights Act. Go and find out who it is who is constantly gunning for the Human Rights Act and the European Court and all of that. Really go for it. One of the other things that I think that we never ever do satisfactorily is with this campaign is we never force them to come out and say, what is your actual end game? What is it that you are trying to do? What are you trying to do to women? If your world was a perfect world, what would happen to women in that perfect world? What would happen to trans people? Now, we shouldn't assume and start making answers for them because they'll take us to court. But we really should be getting them to come because they're very, very good at hiding all of that. They've done exactly what you said. They've taken some very basic religious ideas and they have translated them into the language of human rights, and they've come up with this sort of grotesque parody of human rights, and it's our job to think about that. I mean, you find yourself when you hear people on the radio say people are being coerced. Well, actually, what is the coercion and who's doing it? And actually, it's a bunch of blokes in America with a lot of money and some people, I'm afraid, doing their dirty work for them.
So we're having this day on the 17th of January at Amnesty International. We're using, they're very kindly donating their building. There's QR codes for Amnesty tonight because they're supporting us. If anyone wouldn't mind giving them a little bit of money on the QR code. You've all paid to come here tonight, and you also, I know it's a cost of living crisis, there's no pressure, but much appreciated because they're giving us free stuff so that we can do this. Because I do think we need to get into rooms and come up with ideas. We can't just like talk to our friend and then forget about it. We've got to start having all of these little grassroots organisations in coalition, and they can be operations, book clubs. One of your friends is really good at editing videos, whatever it is, but that you commit to doing something every week or every month, that we start to create operations, little operations all around the place, or join ourselves to an operation to say to Amnesty, if we did this, would you support it? Which is what I'm doing. I'm an Amnesty ambassador. I went, will you support Road to Gilead? And they were like, yeah, aligns really well. So I think we can do these things. Did anyone have a question before we finish?
Monica had something to add as well.
No,
Oh,
I just
Monica,
wanted a practical, something very practical. In my previous life, I was a parliamentarian. One of the things that I liked a lot was when I got emails or when I got requests for audience, and people would come with an issue, but also with a couple of ideas. You know, it's I don't know if you understand what it means to be a parliamentarian, but you have to work on fisheries, on farming, on social welfare, and on sexual reproductive health and rights. So if you have good ideas, don't hesitate, because I think most parliamentarians would love to have something actionable. Because, you know, in the end of the day, all politicians want to do good, but they want to win elections too. So if you can help them, and this is where the work of the European Parliamentarian Forum is quite useful, because it puts us in touch with people from other parts of the world, and we can benefit from experiences that other countries have had on, you know, pushing forward certain legislation. And I think you would be surprised how some small conservative countries have managed to lead on certain issues just because there was a very active civil society movement coming up with problems or signaling problems, but also gently giving us ideas on how to fix them.
Yeah.
One other thing I would say, I'm a big fan of the series Storyville, and I don't know whether any of you have seen the Storyville program about the librarians in America. It's absolutely brilliant. The librarians of America are trying to do their best to stand up for books and access to books. And so go and read that, go and see that, and be angry as a result. But watch the way in which people, town by town by town, are standing up and sticking up for people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, will do. Yes, question here?
Yeah, I was speaking to Liz earlier, and I was saying that I am the parent of a trans daughter, and so obviously the HRC guidance has been kind of quite a terrifying like last year, and I think that when Keir Starmer got into power, I thought, he's a human rights lawyer, so he surely really cares about human rights, and what I've obviously seen is like. It doesn't feel necessarily like they do. But I also feel like there's a thing which I try and distinguish, like how much do people genuinely, like how much is this them chasing like reform voters and how much is it, I think that in their heart. So I guess my question for you is like, what's the general kind of feeling in the Lords, or how much do people, really have strong views about trans people, and it's more about kind of, it's been politicised so much that I think a lot of politicians won't like stand up for trans people because of that. But actually, in their hearts, it's like we do care, but actually, we kind of need to, like, not say anything.
We're just taking it off the table for now.
Exactly.
But
Let's not.
we
It's really
are
controversial.
with you.
It's not.
What is that?
But they're not. I don't think it's kind of gone past that. But like, what's the general feeling in the Lords? Do you think about that kind of thing, about the anti-trans movement?
Well, I think there's a couple of things I would say to that. There are quite a number of, go and read Hansard. There are quite a number of people in the Lords who are anti-trans. There are a bunch of us who are not. I would say that the vast majority of people are like people in general. They think they don't know. They think all this trans stuff is very, very complex, and they're very reluctant to say the wrong thing. So I think, and like everybody else, every week we have the drumbeat of every day stuff in the Times and the Telegraph, and pretty well every week on the BBC we get some anti-trans stuff, and that eventually wears people down. But I get the sense that the general public and members of the House of Lords do happen to be members of the public as well, deep down think there is something wrong here. There's something we're being played. There is something wrong with this. Not that many people actually have met and know trans people very well, but a lot of them have, and they think, well, hang on. And a lot of people see the parallels between campaigns that have been run in the past against other minority or visible minority groups, and they feel that there is something wrong. And it's our job, I think, to try, above all, to expose the nature and the extent of this campaign.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there a question there?
Yes, right at the back.
We're running out of time.
We
but
might
we'll
not be able to get the
we'll
mic to
do a
you.
quick.
Might have to
we'll do
shout.
quick ones. What? Sorry. Yes. That's right. I'll repeat it for the people at home.
Okay. We've been talking about how sort of the far right. There's like big funding campaign. There's like psyops happening, and there's a lot of money in it. Surely we need to do our own psyops. Where do we find the same amount of money? Where are those institutions? Where are those investors?
So for the podcast listeners, there's a lot of money being funneled into these far right campaigns. How do we find that kind of money?
The truthful answer is we don't. I mean, they have got billionaire individual donors.
Are they no good billionaires?
Yeah.
Is the point is, I suppose, if you're happy to exploit
Well,
people.
there is Bill Gates. Bill Gates and
Warren
the
Buffett,
Ben and Jerry's guys.
But But
Are they the only
it.
ones? Have we just got the ice cream
it?
guys and the old-fashioned...
Private sector is stepping up a lot.
But a lot of the money that was the public money, for example, the American government, the money that was going to civil society, is for the moment it's being stopped.
This is because of Doge.
And all that cutting UNAIDS and
you lost money, Monica, didn't you,
UNFPA.
from that?
The thing that you need to look out for is whether some of that money ends up going into new organisations. And Neil is the person who's come up with a great term for them, which is chongos. They look like NGOs, but they're actually church organisations. And whether the funding is going to go through to them. So we were already on the back foot in terms of the amounts of money. But I think that we need to be as smart as we can be about picking a few organisations who have proven that they can do good work and getting behind them.
And maybe just also see if we can find some donors. We're never going to have their billions.
No.
By the way, I don't know how, like, even when we say Bill Gates, then I think, was he not named on the Epstein list? And I panic that I've said that he's a good one. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. I don't know what. I've never met Bill Gates, and I don't know if he's on the Epstein list. But I just want to caveat that by saying the problem is with billionaires, you've sort of got to be exploitative to get there, because everyone's only got 7 days a week to work in. Doesn't matter who you are. So, but if there was there are really rich, good people, wealthy
Gary
people.
Lineker.
Gary Lineker, I do love him.
Yeah.
Maybe we could invite him into the Road to Gilead and see if he would know some rich people who could give us some money. Like, I don't think we need as much as they've got, but we do need some money to get some stuff done. Anybody else? Yes.
So I was finding personally in my family that sometimes it's very hard to argue with a conservative who is very fiscally minded, as you said, and try and turn them to a more empathetic point of view. You know, I have very firm red lines, and if those political movements are taking away the rights of me and my friends, then that's my red line, and it doesn't matter what their fiscal policies are, that's not okay for me. Not everybody sees that as a straight white man with a certain amount of money. So are there any arguments? You've said you've seen these political lobbyists moving around in the parliaments that you're in. Have you then approached these people who have been targeted by those people? And are there arguments that you've used that have helped to maybe temper that and turn them back to your side that we could use in our everyday lives?
I go back to this fundamental thing that the messages that they have crafted, we now know what they are, but we turn them back. Yeah, there is no evidence that women are being harmed by abortion. There is no evidence that people are being put under duress. We go back to the colleges on that. On trans people, a whole narrative is there that trans people, every one of them, pose a systemic threat to other women. It's not there. It's I came across something the other day. It's somebody referred to the paragraph 452 argument. When the Scottish Parliament was debating their bill, they got to where there's a paragraph 452 that says, essentially paraphrasing it, it says, we asked all of the witnesses to give us examples of women being abused by trans women in spaces. Not one did. And that, bear in mind...
There weren't any?
Yeah, there weren't any. And bear in mind that some of the people who gave evidence to them are lawyers who practice almost exclusively in this field. You would have thought that they would have had those cases at their fingertips, but they're not there. So it's a matter of just continually going back and talking to our, for my case, because I understand it all.
I am excited about going back with that intellectual equipment to the next time I talk to my mum.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I mean, we're not on. I don't know if we did a straw poll in just this room. Say, well, who's been assaulted? Yeah, hands up. You've been assaulted.
What, by anyone?
Yeah, have you been assaulted? Yeah, anybody in the room? Okay. Well, you've been assaulted. Okay. Hands up. Who's been assaulted by a woman? don't see any hands at all. And who's... So, okay, I'm sorry, I can't, it's a bit dark. I can't.
Someone said I'm a nurse, so I have. So in a...
Yeah, right, in a professional... Yeah, okay. Who's been assaulted by a trans person? And yet trans people are being put as being the big threat to us. And I think you can do all of the work that we have to do, the detailed statistical work, and we really do. But you can also start doing that and bring it down to an individual level. Really?
Yeah. Have you ever experienced it? Yeah. The UNFPA, presumably on your website, you have a lot of these economic arguments. Amnesty website is great for the details and the numbers, the figures. So use those resources and take them, print them out, send links, say, look here, and show your workings and amplify. We have to finish. We don't have time for more questions, but your questions were brilliant. And I just think that was such a fantastic discussion. I feel I've learned a lot, but I sort of want you to come back because I feel like we could do a part 2 on
Just
this.
do a Q&A one.
Yeah, we could. We should
like they
start
do on
doing
The Rest Is... But we'll do it, but we'll call it The Rest Is Feminism.
And
Gary won't mind.
And I'll tell you I'm a feminist, but you have to have.
Oh yes, come back. Will you
Teaser
come
for the
back?
next one.
Great. Okay.
Will you, tell us now. Tell us your I'm a feminist but now. Tell us. Go on.
Right. Okay. I am a feminist, but one of my all-time favourite gags comes from Victoria Wood. May her name be praised, Victoria.
Blessed be the Victoria Wood.
Victoria Wood. I'm not saying that Fiona was intimidating, but on her dungarees she had a badge on that said "Feminists Against Laughing." And occasionally my wife and I have been known to sit there and go, "Feminists Against Laughing."
I am going to get you that badge for your birthday.
Yeah.
Please, a big round of applause for our incredible guests, Monica Ferro and Baroness Liz Barker. Also, a big round of applause for everyone from the Museum of Comedy and my co-host, Jessica Fostekew. You have been listening to The Guilty Feminist with me, Deborah Frances-White, guest co-host Jessica Fostekew, and our very special guests, Baroness Barker and Monica Ferro. The recording engineer was Grundy Lazimbra. The Guilty Feminist theme tune was composed by Mark Hodge. The producer was Tom Slinsky from Spontaneity Shop. Thanks to Georgia Tennant, Gina Dicio, Ned Sedgwick, Zainab Mohammed, and everyone at the Museum of Comedy, as well as all of you for listening. For more information about this and other episodes, visit guiltyfeminist.com.